Okay, it is 5:15 and we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I will go through attendance. We have Geronimo Guton,
Here.
Tuan Pham,
Here.
Michael Hoover,
Here.
and Miles Durfee, present. So we have a quorum. Dr. Lee isn't with us this evening. All right, so we've done the roll call. We'll go to the approval of the agenda. I'll take a motion.
I motion.
Okay, second.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. All in favor of the agenda? Aye.
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 Great. That agenda's been processed. Now we'll go to public comment and check in here and also at the remote sites. Is there any public comment tonight?
We do not have any public comments here in person today. I will check if there is any public comments at our school sites. Vista Charter Middle School, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Vista Horizon Global Academy, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Palm Lane Global Academy, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Vista Meridian Global Academy, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Vista Lago Global Academy, are there any public comments? Once again, Vista Meridian Global Academy, are there any public comments? Vista Lago Global Academy, are there any public comments?
Meridian, no public comments.
One more time, Vista Lago Global Academy, are there any public comments? That concludes the public comments.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, did Vista Lago come through? Okay,
No public comment.
that's Vista Lago.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, thank you for that. Okay, we're gonna go through the consent items now. I know I have one item before we make a motion that I'd like to just have pulled separate, and that's the item 2.2, which is the minutes, because I wasn't in attendance, so I'll vote separately from everybody else. Are there any other motion to pull any other items?
Yeah, I'd like to pull 2.5, the updated VCPS stipend schedule.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to accept the consent calendar with the exception of 2.2 and 2.5. Can somebody want to make a motion to approve the consent calendar with that exception?
Why are we pulling 2.5?
I think there's a board member who expressed a question, so we're going to pull for that, so that question can be asked. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so anybody want to make a motion?
A motion?
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so that's a motion to accept the entire consent calendar, which is 2.1 through 2.9, with the exception of we're pulling 2.2 and 2.5. That we're good, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so all in favor of any discussion on the consent calendar? Okay, all in favor of the consent calendar approval, the motion?
Aye.
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 Okay, seeing all four of us, none against, that passes with unanimously. Okay, now we've passed the September 22 minutes. Let's move to 2.2. I just look for a motion from somebody that was at the meeting to accept those minutes.
I motion that.
Okay,
A second.
okay. A motion and a second on 2.2. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and I'll abstain. So we have three in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention, just because I was absent. All right, now we have 2.5 in front of us, updated VCPS stipend schedule. Why don't I take a motion and then we'll take questions. So a motion to approve that item?
I motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve 2.5, and I know there's a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss before moving forward, I had a couple questions. Given the fact that, we're updating the stipend schedule, which I love, and I like that we're aligned. Questions I had, knowing that the previous compensation circumstances were inconsistent, where does the new schedule fall, right? Is it like wildly lower for some schools or is it higher? Just wanted some context on that.
Sure, and this is specifically for what's being added.
Yep.
So all of the current stipends are staying the same. The only new stipend would be if a teacher were to be teaching all of the periods,
Yep.
for example, and not having a prep period, they would then get a $5,000 stipend paid out $2,500 per semester. In terms of how this was being done previously, and shared that it was inconsistent in terms of the implementation. In some cases, it was paid hourly, like an extra hour. In some cases, there was a stipend, even though it wasn't part of the stipend schedule. In some cases, it might not have even been paid. So all over the place. And so we really want to make sure that there's something consistent. And because this is already during the school day, it would have to be a stipend instead of extra pay, for example.
That context is really helpful. I just knowing that this is getting updated mid-year, we want to keep great teachers, especially
Exactly.
teachers that are doing maybe more than expected. I wanted to make sure that those teachers were aware, right, of the shift. We've engaged with them because if someone was getting a stipend that was maybe a lot more,
Yeah.
now a lot less, has that been considered?
Yes, I don't think anybody would be receiving less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on that item?
Are these stipends part of the existing budget?
All of the stipends are built in to the budget. There are very, very few cases. So we're probably talking about 2, maybe 3 teachers in the entire organization that this might apply to. So we were planning on, well, yeah, there were some monies for stipends, but an extra period, for example, if based on enrollment, like if we needed to add an extra section, then it might not have been built into the budget, but because of an increase in enrollment, then that necessitated that extra class and that extra stipend.
I appreciate it. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, all right, we have, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and move to the motion, which is to approve it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that passes 4-0, and we are the 2.2s, and we're moving on to 3.1 Superintendent's Report.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. So I might go through this pretty quickly. At any time, please slow me down and ask questions. I have 19 slides. So do we have the slides ready to go? Okay. While we're waiting, I'll start. So like we have every single month, we're going to start with our employees of the month and our parent and supporters of the month. So we're going to start with our certificated employee of the month. This month it is Mr. Matt Iyer, Meridian teacher. And this is what his colleague, Mr. Lee, who nominated him, had to say. He's an amazing financial literacy teacher. He's made an impact on teaching students the importance of their financial future. There are even alumni students who are returning to see him so that he can guide them through the process of creating a Roth IRA account. In addition, he recently chaperoned a trip to Northern California, which, by the way, I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, for the leadership group a few weekends ago, and is just an all-around extraordinary teacher and extraordinary person. So congratulations, Mr. Iyer. And in a moment, after I go through everyone, we will come up and take some photos. Next, our classified employee of the month comes from Vista Horizon. It is Miss Brenda Ariola, Horizon's after school coordinator. And this is what her principal, Mr. Benavides, had to say. Every day, she comes in with a great attitude, ready to help and support students and families in the after school program. She brings a lot of support to students, families, and the Vista Horizon staff every day. She is the last person that families see each evening. Thank you for organizing and implementing a variety of extracurricular activities for our students. We are very blessed to have you here with us and be part of the Vista Horizon team. Congratulations, Ms. Ariola. All right. And this month we have two people to celebrate for our Vista parent and supporters of the month. We've got Miss Hill and Miss Perkins from Palm Lane, a parent and grandparent duo. And this is what Palm Lane principal Miss Prado had to say. I am proud to nominate a mother-grandmother duo for Parent of the Month in recognition of their thoughtfulness, generosity, and unwavering support of Palm Lane. From the very beginning of this school year, they have embraced our school-wide commitment to a strong start by upholding our uniform policy. Not only did they donate gently used uniforms to launch our gently used closet, but they went above and beyond by purchasing brand new uniforms for many students they didn't even know, so that every student could have the basics they deserve. Their kindness and consideration extend far beyond uniforms. They consistently donate for school needs, attend and support all events, and perhaps most importantly, maintain open communication while offering thoughtful suggestions and feedback to strengthen our school community. Their loyalty and dedication are truly one of a kind. This family's actions embody what it means to partner with the school, and their contributions have elevated the Palm Lane experience for every student and family. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Ms. Hill. All right. So we are, I believe Mr. Lugo's not here. So we'll go ahead and come up and take pictures, and then we'll move on with the superintendent's report. All right, let's give one more round of applause to our employees of the month and our parents of the month. So he unfortunately is not here with us today, but we did just have a 10-year anniversary. And this is someone who I personally have worked with for the last 8+ years. But Mr. Lugo started with Vista as an a 6th grade ELA and social studies teacher. A few years ago, he wanted to go back to school and got his education specialist credential, and since then has transitioned into that role for Heritage. But this past month, he just hit his 10-year anniversary mark, and we are just so grateful for Mr. Lugo and everything that he does and has done over the past decade for Heritage and for the entire Vista community. I know that he is extremely dedicated to his craft and to his students, but he's also really good for a laugh. He's always one that can lighten up the room when it's needed the most. So congratulations, Mr. Lugo, if you are watching, and we appreciate everything that you do. And it is also National School Psychologist Appreciation Week. So I would like to appreciate our 3 school psychologists within the Vista family, Miss Donna Yardley, Miss Nancy Castillo, and Mr. Eli Marks. They do so much, even well beyond what a typical school psychologist does. And we really appreciate the work that they do at both with the students and with the entire organization. So if you see them this week, let's give them extra love and appreciation. All right, moving on. So as I have shared previously, the motto this year is expecting excellence in everything that we do and within everyone in the organization. And so keep that in mind as we go through this slide deck. We're going to look at a lot of data. Some of the data looks great. Some of the data we're definitely working on to improve. But regardless, we're striving for excellence in every single thing. So starting with enrollment. So as you'll see here on the left-hand side, you'll see the current enrollment as of today. You will see the change in the enrollment from the past month, from the last board meeting. And then as asked at the last board meeting, looking at the enrollment goal and the percentage progress to that original enrollment goal. Now, it is important to share that these enrollment goals were from the beginning of the school year. Arturo has adjusted the budgets closer to the current enrollment. So that was done at the very beginning of the year, but it's still important to see where we stand compared to where we were projecting to be at the beginning of the year. So I don't need to go through all of the data, but I definitely want to highlight one school in particular. Dr. Creo is still on her way here. She's navigating through traffic from Lake Elsinore. But Vista Lago last month was at 86 students when we were here at the board meeting. And now, as of today, they're at 105 students. And the reason why she's late is she was doing a school tour for another parent. So her and her team have been doing incredible work, 19 new students within the past month, and that number is continuing to go up. So definitely want to give her a shout out for that. And I'm sure we all are breathing a sigh of relief in terms of compared to where we were at last month. Also, as we look at year-to-date attendance data. So in the left-hand column, you will see the attendance percentage. You will also see in red or green the comparison of that attendance rate compared to this exact time last year. So you can see some schools are slightly above, slightly below where they were last year. In fact, Vista Charter Middle School is 0.1 percent away. They were at 94.99 and 94.98, so very, very similar. Going over to the chronic absenteeism rate, so that is the current chronic absenteeism rate year to date for this school year. It's important to note that this is just based on which students have below 90% attendance rate or attendance. This is not if students have missed 18 or more days yet. So there is plenty of time to make sure that those percentages are reduced. It's also important to note that as we look at the red and the green and compare it to last year, with chronic absenteeism, you want it to be low. So the green is if those numbers have decreased compared to last year. The red is if the chronic absenteeism has increased compared to this point again last year. So we're looking at the same point in time year to date to the end of October. And then we have started our attendance recovery programs at most of our schools, and you can see the number of full days recovered through attendance recovery. This does not include partial days because for most grade levels, it takes 4 hours of attendance recovery to count for 1 day of recovered attendance. And so there are students that might have 2 or 3 hours of attendance recovery, but that wasn't counted for a full day. But Vista Charter Middle School and Vista Condor are leading the way so far with 35 and 36 days recovered. And we're just getting started with this.
Sorry, I have a question. Can you go back? For the year-to-date chronic absentee,
Mhm.
it says Palmdale is 22.7%. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so that means 22.7% of the students at Palm Lane as of right now have below a 90% attendance rate. So they've attended school less than 90% of the time so far. All right. A few weeks ago, the 2024-2025 CASP scores were publicly released. So I want to share those scores with the team. This shows the percent meets and exceeds by school in both ELA and in math, and then comparing to those scores a year ago, or sorry, 2 years ago now, back in the 23-24 data. So you can see that overall it was somewhat of a mixed bag. There is a little more green than red, but I want to highlight Condor and Heritage because they both Condor and Heritage saw increases across the board in both ELA and in math. And also Heritage saw the largest growth of over 9% in ELA compared to the previous year. So great job there. Our teams have been working diligently, even before this was released, on this data, making sure that we're hitting the ground running from the get-go this year. And our teams are in the classroom. We're not just looking at data and hoping for the best. So we have a new observation tool called the CARE tool, and we use it for a number of different types of observations. But at the very beginning of the year, we were really focusing on what we called a strong start. Are the basics, are the foundational elements present in the classroom? And overwhelmingly, we saw that they were present. And so we did a total of 117 observations across all of our school sites. And I'll just highlight a few. In 97% of the classrooms observed, there was evidence of a strong classroom culture, strong relationships, and evidence of utilizing the adopted curriculum. I also want to highlight early college. So that's something, especially at the high school level, that we really focus on, giving our high school students access to dual credit opportunities where they can not only get high school credit, but also college credit at the same time. This started when Meridian opened in 2022. And so you can see across the board from 2022 up until this past summer semester, the number of students who have taken early college classes, the pass rate each semester, and also looking at the number of course withdrawals, because we want to make sure that not only our students are taking the class, but they're able to persist through the course and successfully complete those courses. So we've learned a lot of lessons over the course of the past few years. You will see, for example, in the 2022-23 school year, we tried to go big. We wanted to have as many students as possible take early college classes, and then you can see in the fall of 2022 that pass rate was down to 27% and had almost 100 students withdraw. And so we learned a harsh lesson there and adjusted. And you can see right after that in spring of 2023, the data looked a lot better. And as a result, we have adjusted over the past few years to make sure that we are confident that students are ready when they enroll in an early college class. And so the pass rates have improved, but we're not perfect, and so we're continuing to adjust and learn from this data. And so if you have any questions, our amazing director of counseling, college, and careers is here to answer those. And she's really been the architect of our early college program. All right, student travel. So I've got two main updates here. First, the Vista Student Travel Fundraiser has now generated $17,300. And this is all going towards future travel for Vista students to really investigate the world and really become more globally competent. And we also had a travel experience for 5 Vista Meridian students this past month. And this was possible through a CTE grant. So 5 Vista Meridian students traveled to the Future Business Leaders of America conference in Santa Clara, alongside Mr. Iyer, who you just met earlier, along with Dr. Rial. And it was an amazing experience for these students, many of which had never been on an airplane before. So you can see that picture of their first trip on an airplane. Obviously, their first professional conference. And because they were in the Bay Area, they got to tour Stanford University and Google headquarters as well. So definitely a cherry on top of an amazing experience. And much more travel to come in the future as well. We're just getting started. We are also celebrating a lot, or doing a lot of cultural celebrations, especially recently. So we just completed Hispanic Heritage Month. I want to give a shout out to our very own Selena. Allison is her real name, but she dressed up and performed as Selena at Horizons Coffee with the Principal. And that Coffee with the Principal was a dance party. I have never seen so many parents singing and dancing and just going all out. It was amazing to see. And actually, the community schools director at the Los Angeles County Office of Education was there and was amazed by what she saw. So it was incredible, an incredible event. And then for Dia de los Muertos, that was our first organizational-wide cultural celebration of the year. And all of our schools, including our central office here, had a community ofrenda, really honoring those who have passed and have come before us. And many of our schools took it to the next level, where they also explored how other cultures honor their ancestors as well. So was incredible to see all of the schools really dive headfirst into it and celebrate Dia de los Muertos. All right, a few more slides. Vista Lago has had a number of celebrations, not only with enrollment, but this past month they had their grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony, where the mayor of Lake Elsinore, Brian Tisdale, came and spoke. The president of the Riverside County Office of Education, Kim Cousins, also spoke at the event, and it was extremely well attended. Over 200 students, parents, staff, community partners were there, and there's a lot of momentum brewing right now in Lake Elsinore. And then the week after, we were also there with Mayor Tisdale again at the State of the City event, where Lake Elsinore was highlighted and recognized as a brand new organization to the community, and definitely one to watch. At Condor, as we continue along the lines of dignitaries interacting with our school sites, Councilmember Jonathan Hernandez here in Santa Ana visited Condor, I think it was this past week, and did a full presentation, probably like almost an hour-long presentation to our fourth graders about the history of Santa Ana and just really gaining a deep appreciation for the community that the majority of our students live in. And these students were so engaged. They love learning about the local restaurant that they might go to every now and then, and not realize that it's the oldest restaurant in the city of Santa Ana and things like that. So, want to definitely give thanks to Councilmember Hernandez for taking time out of his busy schedule to come in and visit us. This home office also hosted a number of events. A lot has happened over this past month. Last month, the CCSA Member Council, which is comprised of about 40 charter leaders from across the state, convened right here in the Vista home office and did a school tour of Condor and Heritage. They were greeted by the Heritage cheerleaders. The Vista Charter Middle School band came down from LA to perform for the charter leaders. And after the tour, I received so many compliments from these really well-established charter leaders just about the great things that we've been doing. The biomedical class and the anatomage table and simulation, the spider lab that we're doing, and any of the classrooms that they went into. I heard amazing things about the TK and kindergarten classes that they walked into and the level of engagement. And then the following week, we hosted the CCSA Orange County Regional Meeting, which featured local assembly member Avelino Valencia, Orange County Board of Education President Mary Barkey, and CCSA's CEO Mirna Castrajon were all present. So Vista has definitely been the hub for a lot of events and really bringing a lot of dignitaries here. All right, as we wrap up, there are more events on the horizon, more things to come. And one of the most important ones is coming up next Wednesday, November 12th. It is Palm Lane's charter renewal public hearing. That'll be held at the Anaheim Elementary School District board meeting at 6:30 next Wednesday. So mark that on your calendars. Would love to see all of you out in attendance, really showing support for Palm Lane's charter renewal. And then the following month on December 10th is when the Anaheim Elementary School District will take action on Palm Lane's charter renewal. And lastly, somewhat on a somber note, but we're going to turn it into a positive. We did receive a notice of concern from the Orange County Department of Education regarding Condor and Heritage's English Learner Program. And our team has been hard at work on developing a very thoughtful response and action plan to this notice of concern. And we're really going to turn this into a positive. And so we have really turned this into 4 corrective action categories. The first one is governance, policy, and accountability. Second one is program consistency and delivery. Third is specialized supports and professional learning. And the fourth one is consistent data monitoring and review. The current draft has been shared with the board, and it's also been shared publicly on the board agenda. And we do also have our team here who has been working diligently on that if there are any questions. And that wraps up my superintendent report. I do want to just make a quick note that there was a request last month on cohort data that has also been uploaded to the board packet and board agenda as well for you to view.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Phelps. Are there any questions?
I have one question, but first I want to make a comment. I really appreciate how we can see the data now with attendance looking year over year and the comparison data. That's very helpful. So appreciate that. It's very helpful. I think on that note, one of the things I'm curious about is when I look at attendance and some of the great things and even reading the principal reports is, we have do we have any data on students that graduate from 8th grade here, right, at Heritage, and then go on to Meridian? Like, is there a pathway there? Do we do any events like that to connect that?
For attendance or for
Enrollment,
matriculation
for
enrollment?
matriculation.
Yes. So, and we're in the midst of this right now as our open enrollment window is opening up next week. So, each of our principals in middle school and high school work very closely with the feeder elementary schools. So, for example, Mr. Summer and Mr. Benavides work very closely on meeting with the 5th grade students and families, and Miss Alessandra is the principal for both, so she works with herself on that. But and then Mr. Pirano and Miss Alessandra also work and meet with the 8th grade families to ensure that as many of them as possible will make the decision. And we want that decision to be as easy as possible for them to know that they want to continue with Vista.
Yeah, just looking ahead, right? We're always thinking of we operate great programming here. Are there events that we're doing like 8th grade step up days where they go to the high school, talk with the teachers, stuff like that? Has that stuff been discussed?
Yes, yeah, and we do those days.
Great.
So the principals come to meet with the students, the coffee with the principals at the feeder schools. Some of our schools even take field trips to the
Okay.
that school as well.
Thank you.
Yes,
I have a
question?
comment, yeah.
Go ahead.
So the metrics, I think they're really great. It's a great starting point, right? But when I look at the metrics, it's not telling me the complete story. So I know you're probably helping the students, right? But I'd like to see that as part of the board presentation. So like there are a lot of metrics that I can have. I can go over tons of questions, but I want to see what are we doing to help the students? And it might be too much to touch on all the metrics in this meeting, maybe like the top ones, right? If you can touch on a couple of those to see how we are helping the students. That's what I want to see. I want to focus on the students more in these board meetings, personally. And I want to see what we are doing to help them out. And I know you are, it's just not being communicated.
Great. Anything? No. I too just wanted to say, I've had numerous questions over the last few months about attendance, enrollment, and just the metrics of the data and how things are going. And so I can see in the report, good report outs on that. And to me, that's really helpful because I think you hit it on the head in one of your statements, which is, these are not easy things to accomplish. This is tough to work and do every day. And there are going to be some that we're challenging to work on and grow to. But I can see the work that's being done, and I can also see yourselves holding yourselves accountable for the areas of growth that you want to obtain. So they're tangible, they're metrics they're numbers, they're things that are easy to understand. So thank you for all the work to provide that to the board. Because I know you see that as a staff probably a lot more frequently than we do as a board, but it gives me a much better feeling of comfort seeing these metrics and seeing that you're holding yourself accountable to those things and where you're good and where you're growing. So I just wanted to say thank you. And so I don't have any real questions for this evening on it. Okay. Moving now to the principal's report.
Hello. It works. All right. Good evening, board. Good evening, Dr. Felch, Miss Maya, and Miss Susie. How are you? Great. Great. I'm so excited to present all the great things we've been doing at Vista Charter Middle School this past month. Oh, I got this clicker. Cool. Yeah, so we've done a lot of really great things. And so we really want to highlight it. It was really hard for me to kind of go through all the stuff we were doing and pick out a few things, but we're going to do that anyway. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our LCAP goal number 1, educating the whole child. And last time I was here, we talked about Vista Ohana. Again, we're doing it again this year, and this year it's even better. We did it back in end of September, and we had a lot of the members from the district team come there. The feeling in the school was amazing. The kids felt very supported. We have this one student, his name is Brandon. Now, Brandon is a student who's very hard to come to that school. He gets to school every day and sits in his car and cries. We've been working with him every single day, trying to get there. We have behavior plans for him, working with the parents. We got him to come to school. This day, he's sitting around school with a smile on his face saying, "This is great. I love being here." And so hearing that from a kid who doesn't want to come to school really kind of emphasizes why this is important to do. It does take a day, but again, we want to educate the whole child, and this is one of the ways we do that. The theme this year was Vista United. We want to have this idea that we are all different, we come from different families, but we are all united in the cause of supporting each other. Now, this is a theme that we're kind of doing the whole year. We also put in a soccer field this year, and the students voted on the name, and the name they voted on was Vista United. So we had the Vista United field at our school now, so come check it out. It's beautiful. But the kids in the beginning, we had what was called the World Expo. Oh, yeah, clicker. With the World Expo. And so all the classrooms this year have a bunch of different countries. So the different countries had a bunch of different games that the kids were able to do. So the kids had a little passport card that they would go to the different countries and get the stamp and participate in those activities. It was great because typically at a middle school, 6th grade's doing one thing, 7th grade's doing another, 8th grade's doing a different thing. But today they're all together. Kids have friends across grade levels. They're able to be united, to come together and share these times. At the end of the year, every year, this is one of the highlights that they always do. So this was a great thing to do. And at the end of the day, we get to throw water balloons at the kids and they get to throw them at us. And it's a lot of fun. But yeah, it was a great time. And then one thing we're really trying to do this year, our theme at Vista Charter Middle School is data-driven, student-centered, and character-focused. So we want to have data at the heart of all we do. So we've been doing student surveys, trying to see how happy they are at school. Because if they're happy at school, they're going to be more likely to be engaged and more likely to come. So you can see that first part right there. That was pre-Ohana. The question was, how do you feel at Vista? And that was out of a 5-point scale. There's supposed to be a period there. But it was a 3.6 average. After Ohana, it went up to a 4.0. So a lot of kids were really excited to be here. It made them feel happy. And then we were doing this thing with Dr. Felch, is the net student reporter score, correct?
Yeah, net promoter score.
Net promoter score for students. How likely are you to refer your student to Vista? Pre-Ohana was +4. Again, the goal this year is to be positive, and so we were already there. After Ohana, it's +28. So these events really make kids want to come to school. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes planning, but it's really an effective thing. Additionally, one thing we're doing to really help grow our school in a behavior way is really using PBIS. So we've now become data-driven when it comes to our PBIS system. And these graphs you see over here, this is a collection of all the behavior referrals, all the positive referrals, and then we went down and sat and looked at what are the kids being referred to? Why are they sent to the office? Why are they having a reflection? And looked at those different things. Starting today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, we're meeting with each of the grade levels to go over these and make action plans to make sure we're targeting the specific behaviors and the specific characteristics that we want to see in the kid. We really want to be data-driven so that we know we're making a difference, because our job can be exhausting. And we need to see the data that says, hey, we are making progress. LCAP goal number 2, professional growth. So this year, we're really trying to embed global education into all we do. We spent a lot of time reading, learning, and really understanding what it is to have the 4 global competencies. And this year, we started our student-led conference. Well, we didn't start, we built upon it. We started last year. And last year, I think we had about 15 people show up at the first one. This one, we got to about 100. So we really talked to the students of why it's important. And then also throughout the year, students have been creating global portfolios that shows how are they investigating the world? How are they recognizing perspectives? How are they taking action and communicating ideas in their classrooms? So students created these websites, uploaded artifacts from their classrooms, either an essay or an assignment or something they were proud of that showed how they were investigating the world or communicating ideas. And then the parents came and they walked them through this. They said, this is what I'm learning this year. This is how I'm investigating the world. Additionally, they went over their data. How am I doing? Am I improving? What are my already scores? What are my report cards say? Really kind of taking that ownership. One thing we always hear in middle school is that kids don't care. Kids don't really care about their grades. So part of the portfolio is getting the students to take ownership. Here's my grades, and then they present to their parents, and then there's that more ownership. Again, we did a survey after this. Any parents who came, they took a survey. 95% of the parents understood at a deeper level their students' areas of strength and their areas of growth. 91% of them found these conferences valuable. The only negative comment is like they want more time talking with the teachers. So what we told the parents after those conferences, they could sign up for a parent conference as well. So we had parent conferences the rest of the week. We're really trying to make sure the students are growing in the 4 global competencies as well as their overall academic grades. And then LCAP goal number 3, family and community partnerships. So we had some really amazing events happen recently. We partner with a company called Influential Walls, which is a muralist who they try to teach the students that you can make a living in art. So they contract muralists around the country, and they come and do workshops for the kids. So the kids participate in a 3-day workshop, learning about what it is to be an artist. How do you make a career in being an artist? And then they also participated in painting in the mural that we have outside of, in our classrooms now. And you can see that on the next page, which I'll show you. So we have this one here. It has Vista United. Again, we want everybody to know, no matter where you come from, who you are, that we're united. We're here to support you. And the purpose of this mural, and this was created through the help of students and staff, is to really show that no matter what you look like, you're accepted here. We're here. We're going to support each other. And I believe that's a really important part of a global school is acceptance. And that's what we want this mural to convey. So anytime you come to our school, you walk up the flight of stairs, and this is the thing that jumps out at you. It's a really cool thing to look at. And then also our parents, again, we believe we're a team. Our parents came and they really helped host 3 different Hispanic Heritage Month potlucks for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. All students were able to try different Hispanic foods. Some kids had never had pupusas before, and they were able to have pupusas that parents brought. And that was great. Parents love being on campus, love working with the kids. They also created this beautiful ofrenda that you can see right there. So we have this ofrenda, and outside of our school every day, there's this lady named Maria who sells like different like ice creams and candies to the kids. She heard we had an ofrenda and was so happy. She said, "Can I put some stuff on the altar?" Comes to find out that her son had committed suicide about a year ago. And so she brought a picture of him there. You can see it's a big frame on the left-hand side. And she donated all those marigold flowers to our altar. So because we'd had this altar, this person from the community was so blessed, she was able to bless us with the flowers as well. So these kind of things really make a difference. And then additionally with the mural, they also painted one right on the outside of our wall. So this is kind of like a marketing thing, but it also kind of shows what Vista is about. We're about investigating the world, weighing perspectives, communicating ideas, and taking actions. So this guy, the muralist, painted this in about a day by hand. It was really impressive. So it's pretty cool. And then enrollment and attendance, it's pretty stable to where we've been so far this year. Today, we actually got 4 new enrollments today, so that's good. But this is where we're at right now. ADA is about the same, 95.5% average daily attendance, which is good. Our goal is to be above 94, and that's where we're at currently. And then I just want to highlight a few people. So if you come to Vista, you're going to feel a great sense of belonging. And one of the reasons why we have that is we teach students how to talk. We teach students and teachers how to listen. My daughter is currently in middle school, and she recently got removed from a group chat, which is a big deal to a middle schooler. There was lots of tears, lots of crying. And the one thing that I realized as a parent is that her school doesn't have what we have. Her school doesn't have somebody who can sit the kids down and teach them to talk. Like she got taken out of this conversation. Now she's not going to be able to talk to these girls anymore. Every incident we have this year, as soon as something happens, we talk to the kids, we talk to the parents, we let the parents know, hey, we're going to have the kids come and talk. We come together, we talk, and the issue stops. We haven't had I can't say the word because I don't want to get in trouble, but I don't want to jinx a physical thing since last March. So that's a long time in a middle school to have no issues with that. And it's not because it's a magical place. It's because we teach the kids how to talk. Oftentimes kids want to figure it out, but they don't know how. So these three gentlemen spend day after day working with students on how to have communication. We talk about educating the whole child. We can't do that unless we teach them how to communicate. So providing them a space for them to share their feelings, to be heard, and then to also hear the others really kind of is transforming our school. So I want to give a big shout out to Mr. N, Mr. Victor, and Coach G. And I believe that is it.
Thank you very much, Principal Summer. Any questions? Comments?
Yeah, first comment. Then I think one of the things that I really appreciate about your leadership is the intention that you do it with and the measurables that you have with surveying your students. Also, I've talked to you about that positive referral. And so I did have a question on that slide where you had the PBIS quarter. Am I correct to assume are the bar graphs the positive referrals? Are they, because they're
So no, we have another one that has the positive referrals. This one, I believe, well, I have the paper right in front of me. Yeah, that shows so we want to teach the kids gear. So it's grit, empathy, accountability, and respect. Those are the ones when they do a gear reflection, which thing are they struggling with? So in seventh grade, in sixth and seventh and eighth grade, we see respect is there. So that tells us that we need to start teaching the kids, not just talking to them, but teaching them what it is to show respect. That we have another one for PBS that I can show next time.
Oh no, I was just curious in terms of, because I know you've been doing a lot of work, not only with aligning your referrals, creating student surveys, but also seeking that positive referral, right? Looking for the great behaviors that you want to see. And I was just going to be curious if you're seeing any correlation with as many positive referrals. Is that helping with the decrease of?
It is, and it was really interesting to see that some grade levels give a lot more gear reflections than they do positive referrals. Other ones give a lot more positive referrals. And there is a difference in the classroom cultures for both grade levels. The ones that give the more positive ones, there's more of a team spirit. The teachers aren't as burnt out. So that does go a long way. So part of the PBIS conversations is around that. Yeah. So if they don't have enough positive ones, we want to make sure that we're changing that ratio.
Sweet. Thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Can you go to the staff spotlight? And are those all the staff members?
Those are our behavior support team. So that's two BIs and our culture and community coordinator.
So there's no females there.
I know. We need more money.
So do you see any challenges with, like the female students?
100%. So we do have a female school psychologist, a female assistant principal, and a female SPED teacher and a female counselor. So we have those as well. But yes, that is something we have talked about and we would love to have that. So if you come to our schools, you'll see a very diverse staff and for me, all genders, all races. But we do need more females on our behavior support team. I agree.
Yeah, but it sounds like you have the principal and counselors to help out.
Yeah.
Nope. Fantastic. We just talked about wanting to see what we're doing for the students, and your presentation really hit that on the head. So thank you for that too. All right, thank you very much. All right, moving along, Arturo from Icon Financial Report 3.3.
Good afternoon, board. Good to see you again. All right, today we're going to cover the September 2025 financials, so year to date. Next month, as a heads up, you'll see the first interim updates. So you saw budget updates back at the end of September. And so you'll see the next round of updates then as we're submitting to the authorizers in LUSD in November. And then the other two authorizers will be in early December. Starting with Vista Charter Middle School. So this is your key indicators page. Their enrollment is above the updated budget of 350 at 353, and their ADA percentage is also above the updated ADA percentage we were using. Their balance sheet continues to remain pretty healthy with assets of just over 16 million, liabilities of just under 8, so equity about $8 million, and the cash details really strong, 6.2 mil with about 298 days cash on hand for the middle school. In September, they received just over $714,000 in revenues, majority of that being LCFF and their first payment of the Education Protection Account. So EPA, they get that 4 times a year. And year to date, they've received about just over 20% of their total funding revenue for the year. So this is your year-to-date budget through each. The EPA arrived in September. Conservatively, we generally projected to arrive in October because it kind of gets sent out at the end of September, but it showed up early for all the schools. So that's why on the trending line before, you see it above at that point. On the expenditure side, they expense just under $778,000, majority of that being salary and benefits. Their books and supplies continues to trend just above where they should be at this point of the year, but that's because of early school year purchases. And year to date, they're at 28% projected expenses. So again, most of that is in books and supplies. Then the detail on the balance sheet. And then moving to Vista Heritage. So Vista Heritage had a slight drop in enrollment, about 3 kids. So they're still just below our updated projection for enrollment. And their attendance rate is just a little bit below as well at 92.17. And that's for the second statistical month. So some of the numbers you'll be seeing cover more time, but I go by those months that are closed out. Their balance sheet, so assets of just over 26 million, majority of that being the facility. Liabilities of 25 million, most of that being facility. And so you have about $1 million in equity. Cash of just over 1.6, so about 75 days cash on hand for Heritage. For the second fiscal month, their ADA was 336, which is 4 points lower than where they were at last month. So a little bit of a drop. Revenues, so they received just over 660,000, and similar story to the middle school, and you'll see this throughout the other schools. Majority of that is LCFF, and is their EPA funding that came in at the end of September versus in October. Year to date, they've received just over 16% of their projected revenue of $8 million. There. And then on the expenditure side, they spent just over 600,000, majority of that being supplies, salary and benefits. They're just at overall about 24.94, and the only one that's above, if you look bottom there on the left, is operating, but that's driven by the fact that they made a forward payment on transportation costs to the home office at the beginning of the year. And then their detailed balance sheet, and then moving to Condor. So Condor is trending pretty well. They had additional growth of 8 students, so at 376 and above the 372 we updated the budget for, and their attendance rate is above the 92% that we were projecting. Their balance sheet, their equity is just around $2 million, 23 million in assets and 21 in liabilities. Cash over 3 million, so days cash on about 136. Their ADA went up slightly in the second month to 349, so about 1.5, 88 points higher than the prior month. And they received just over $700,000, I should say, in September. Broken record, most of that being the EPA that came in as part of LCFF. And on the expenditure side, their expense just over 637,000. They're at 26%, so that's driven by 2 things: books, supplies, materials that were purchased up ahead of time, and then that 32% in operating is their prepayment for the first half of the year for transportation. Vista Horizon, so they're about 171 students, slightly below the 173, but their ADA percentage remains just above the line at 93.57, and they currently have equity about 1.4, 1.5 million. with about $1 million in cash, was about 111 days. Their ADA was pretty much right on where they were at the first month at 160.75. They received just over 300,000, majority of that being LCFF and their portion of their EPA for that time frame. And year to date, they're just over 17% for the year. On the expenditure side, they are at 251,000 in September, and overall about 27% books and supplies. Again, the early kind of purchases, but much closer to getting back onto the correct trend line for the year. Palm Lane, so you're just under their goal of 276 at 275 students, but their ADA percentage remains above the 93%. Healthy a balance sheet as usual, over 10 million in assets and just over 1.5 in liabilities. Cash of 5.5 million, so 341 days cash on hand for them. And their ADA for the second month was 1.488 points higher than the first month at 259.10. And then in September, they received 603,000. Again, same thing, above the trend line because of the early arrival of the EPA payments, and just under 18% of their year-to-date projected revenues. On the expenditure side, they expensed about 426,000. A similar story in the books and supplies, so that's trending above at 32%. Everything else is just below where you should be. So year-to-date overall, they're at 24% of projected expenses. Vista Meridian, so they're at 246 students at the end of the second school month, just two under the 248. Their ADA just below at 92.11. We're projecting 92.75. And their assets are much closer. Their cash is a little tight, but they do have kind of a standing cash loan balance with Palm Lane. So even though it says 16 days cash on hand, it's not something that we are concerned about. And their second fiscal month ADA of 228.15 was just about what it was for the first month. They received 497,000 in September, good portion of that being their EPA, as for the other schools, and just under 15% of their total projected revenue. On the expenditure side, don't let that 49% in books and supplies scare you. That was the purchase of a new animatronic table that's being paid out of grant funds that wasn't in the budget. So when you pull that out, they're about 31% for the year books and supplies, which is where they were trending above before. Again, similarly to the new materials and supplies for the school year. And then the operating, they're also one of the 3 schools that forward paid their transportation costs to the home office. So that's what's driving that. So overall, about 28.3%. Vista Lago. So here, the data is a little bit behind because at the end of the second school month, they were at 88 students versus now they're at the 105. So they've reached and surpassed that goal. Their ADA continues to be above the 92% we projected. Their cash is strong, but that's the cash flow loan. So they have pretty healthy currently the cash on hand. And then their second school month was 79.88 points, which was 4.5 higher. But that's again driven by that good, strong growth in enrollment. They got their one and only payment they're going to receive this calendar year. So as a new school, they get their special apportionment, which came in September, about 705,000. Their next payments will be in February and March after P1. So that's why they have a nice, and it's such a high amount because the special apportionment was based off of your PenSec, which projected a higher enrollment. So in a way, it worked out in your favor because you get more cash up front, but then your payments in the back of the year are going to be much smaller because once it rebalances based off of your current ADA at P1. On the expenditure side, just over 280,000. You saw that 70K before in computers and purchases, so that's why books and supplies is really far out in advance because of that tech purchases that were bought out pretty early. Then operating costs to set up the portables in the facility there. And then I do have a very quick update on the home office. So we're still doing some cleaning up on the payroll side. So I didn't feel very confident in those numbers, so I didn't want to present those here. But in the 4,000, the 5,000 series, there were some additional purchases in the 4,000 series, primarily security systems, wireless access points, for the new facility. That's driven that above what it's been budgeted. And on the 5,000 series, trending a little bit below. We should be for the year, so we're hoping there'll be some savings there. But we'll bring in updated budget for this as well with the first interim projection as we move forward. And then outstanding checks for 50 plus days, so total about $6,000. Very small percentage compared to the over $1 million you guys do in monthly checks, and you have that check register as well. Questions, comments?
Thank you. Questions?
I do. When you said, because when I looked at it, and I appreciate again how you've been breaking this down, it's a lot easier for someone who doesn't have a background in finance to understand. But I was concerned, and then you addressed it quickly, but Meridian's cash on hand is only 16, but you said something they have a,
So
With Palm Lane.
they have a standing loan with Palm Lane to help support for cash flow.
got it. Okay, thanks.
Great. I too, the key indicators, particularly that little snapshot is very helpful on me getting a good picture of what's happening. So thank you for the detail on that because it gives me a good feeling of where we're headed and who's struggling, who's not. So thanks for that. No questions. Oh, actually one question. How long does it take to close out? Because we're in November. I mean, this is like the second day of November. So obviously I didn't expect to see October because we generated the agendas, but how long does it take to close?
So usually we're closed by mid-month, so
Okay.
around the 15th.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's just helpful for me to remember.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Arthur. All right, moving on to 3.4, teachers assignment monitoring and outcomes. Thank you.
So starting in January of 2019, the CTC developed a statewide assignment monitoring system called CalSAS. So California, I forgot what it stands for. California something assignment, something, but it's for assignment monitoring. And then beginning the year 23-24, charters were also, or the year before that, charters were also became responsible for reporting appropriate assignment for schools. So basically the CTC, which is the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, and CalPADS, they look to match what's being reported for schools FTEs, for schools employees. And whenever there's a discrepancy between the system, it flags it. And then as a school, we need to go in and either clear that flag and say, no, this person is appropriately assigned and provide documentation for that. Or we have to say, okay, no, this is a misassignment for whatever reason. And there's a number of reasons why those show up. So as of this year, that information is now released publicly on the dashboard, which is the reports that are in here for all of our schools. So just kind of wanted to go over each one. Like I said, I'll be brief and just share a little bit about them and then answer any questions that you might have. So just so you know, I kind of become responsible. So I do monitor assignments for all of the schools. It starts at the onboarding process to make sure that any new certificated hire has the appropriate credential. And if they don't, that we have the appropriate documentation to be able to move forward with hiring them. And if it doesn't work out, then it just doesn't work out. We don't continue the onboarding process. So some examples of a teacher that might not have a credential is because they're in school. So they're going to be, they're working on an intern credential, and interns need proof of a job offer before before the state issues that intern credential. Others, again, there's a lot of reasons why not, but at minimum, all of our teachers, whether it's through an agency or that we hire, have a sub-credential. So 100% of our teachers have some type of credential that authorizes them to be in the classroom. So just wanted to put it out there. So In the first report, Palm Lane, they report 84.6% of teachers who are clear out of 13 teachers. And again, for elementary schools, the issue is usually that because they're an intern, they're working on their credential, or if there's a vacancy and there's a sub. So more than likely that year there was a vacancy or an intern, which is why that number is reported. For Vista, out of 14 FTEs, their clear percentage was 41.7. And I'm going to hit Vista and Heritage and Meridian together. For Heritage, out of 12.4 FTEs, their clear was 72.8. And for Meridian, out of 9.7 FTEs, their percentage of clear teachers was 93.1. At the secondary level, credentials become a little bit trickier because teachers, not only do they teach core classes, but they teach electives. And just so you know, on the system, on the CalSAS system, if a teacher teaches homeroom or advisory, they do get flagged for not having a homeroom or advisory credential. So again, we have to go in and provide the appropriate documentation, and there's ways of documenting that that is the appropriate credential. But just so you know, some of the things that have impacted numbers and some of the learning that we've done is the actual course codes. So it turns out, you know, that we've done a lot of learning around course codes and what course codes need to be entered. So one example of one teacher at the middle school is general ed courses versus CTE courses. If you have a CTE teacher, they have to be teaching a CTE course and it has to be indicated. So, you know, if a teacher is teaching music, you have to indicate general ed music or CTE music. If not, it shows up as it gets flagged. So those are some of the main things that are impacting the secondary schools is the course coding, and we're working on that. And the hope is that every year our numbers get better. Similarly at Heritage and some teachers at Vista, they have multiple subject credentials. So they teach core classes and, you know, 2 math, 2 science, and then an elective. And depending on that elective, you know, depending on how that course code is entered, it flags that teacher. So the reports that are on here is what will be released on the dashboard. I believe they go public next week. And the goal is that every year these are clear percentages increase, and that we're monitoring that we have the appropriate assignment, the appropriately credentialed teachers in all of our classrooms at all times. So any questions? All right.
Questions?
Will this turn to be, I know it's new,
Mhm.
will it be another color? Like, you know how on the dashboard they give you colors of.
I
when you
haven't
set
heard
goals?
yet that it's going to
Okay.
be a color, so I don't know. But it's public, so it'll
Yeah.
be on the dashboard. It'll be on DataQuest,
Mhm.
and
You get like a score?
yeah, I don't that we know of,
See?
not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, and I think I've been pretty on top of the news
Yeah.
when it comes to this, just because I've been monitoring everybody's credentials.
And so I only saw one school that had kind of like a percentage that was below 50%.
Mhm.
Was I reading that right?
Yeah, we
And
only
so-
have one school, and it's the middle school.
Yep.
And again, it just has a lot to do with how we coded the courses.
Mhm.
So for example, a multiple subject teacher, if she's teaching a robotics elective, she needs to have a robotics credential. So now we're getting better at, but she's a multiple subject teacher. So
Yeah.
technically she can teach anything. So now we're getting better at coding the courses and understanding what codes we need to enter in our system so that they don't get flagged the following year. And again, this is data from 23-24.
Yeah.
So all of our percentages are from 23-24. And CTE is also new learning for us. So those CTE teachers and how we code those courses. Oh, and then another big one is a dual enrollment, because our students who are dually enrolled, the college instructor is not issuing the grades. So as of now, we have our college counselor who is the roster holder. So of course he's not credentialed. So that shows up as a flag. And then we need to be able to enter to code him. And CTC actually created a whole new code for that. So now we know next year will be better. And the goal is that these numbers improve as we learn more. But I do want to say that all of our teachers are credentialed. So we do have and the ones that are, some are working on authorizations or special or authorizations for specific subjects. Some of our teachers are working on additional CTE authorizations to teach CTE courses. So we are closely monitoring and we are working on all of that.
Well, I for one really appreciate the fact that you're dealing with this. It sounds like a mess, but ultimately, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. They want to make sure people are credentialed, but the way that they're doing it can create maybe a fear of we can't be teaching certain courses, and we just want to make sure that, especially as a charter school, we have people teaching and offering electives, right, for our students. And so, I appreciate that you're dealing with this mess. Appreciate you reporting it, right, and staying on top of it. If there's anything that we can do, right, to help, which I don't know what it is, but just know that we're here to help.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a couple comments. A number of comments on this. This reporting actually turned out, not for us, but for the charter school sector, better than I thought it was going to when AB 1505 was passed and this was introduced. Because it seemed to be in law, this idea that there's a correlation between this very complicated CTC process and credentialing process that probably doesn't translate to the level of teaching that's happening in the classroom at all. But now there's a system that the districts for years have had to try to circumvent so that they can teach to their students in a better way. Circumvent's pretty harsh word, probably. I should probably use a word that's not quite as harsh as that for the districts, but they've worked really hard. They've manipulated, they've created courses in a certain way. They've created credentials with the counties in a different way so that they can continue to have this theory that they are in full compliance and there are no misassignments. And so it was great to see the delay in reporting that's gone on since AB 1505 because it allowed the charter schools to keep up. So from a bureaucratic standpoint, I'm glad that we are now moving toward compliance. I don't know that that's going to translate again to the kind of instruction that we want to see in the classroom and how the credential flows to that instruction. So all of that to say, I appreciate all the work we're doing to be in compliance. I think we have an item tonight that sort of relates to this that we're going to be discussing in a minute. I'm glad that we're addressing it in compliance, but I'm also glad that we're focused on trying to get great teachers to teach to our kids, regardless of what their teaching credential may say exactly. So thanks for all the work on that. And I do think that we have a responsibility in the charter community, and I'm glad that we're taking that on to inform the public about what this really means, because it is going to be on the dashboard, and it is potentially someone could take this report and they could make a thought process about what it means. And it's so complex that it's going to be very hard for a parent to take this and really understand what the implications are for their student in the classroom, which is what the most important thing I think the parents is that. So I just wanted to make kind of that editorial because I think it's really important. This is a long time in coming, this reporting, and I'm not sure we've improved education with this reporting in our system in California, but I'm glad that we're taking it seriously and we're in compliance with what we need to do to continue to improve. Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've cleared all the information discussion items. We're going to move on to the action items now. The first one is local assignment authorization 4.1, local assignment authorization for Raymond Cassis. I may have mispronounced that, but Dr. Felch, is there anything you wanted to say before we take a motion?
Yes, so giving some background information, then I'll invite Dr. Creo and Dr. Simmons to share anything else. So as you know, a month and a half ago, we had to make some difficult cuts due to low enrollment. And as a result of those cuts, we had to change the approach for middle school. So instead of middle school going to 4+ different teachers with single subject credentials, it became self-contained through what would be a multiple subject credential. And Mr. Casillas is a great teacher, as you were alluding to. And we really wanted to find a way, if possible, for us to be able to keep him. And the way to keep him was to be in this multiple subject credential setting. He has a single subject social studies credential, but over the past 30 days, and ironically, today is actually day 30 of this, using his 30-day sub permit process. So we, over the past 30 school days, Dr. Creo and Dr. Simmons have done extensive support, coaching, observations and feedback, lesson plan review, student work review, to make sure that not only are the kids getting well served by him, but that we could also be confident in making a recommendation to the board. And the board is able legally to make a special authorization in this type of case. This authorization is only good at Vista Charter Public Schools. It's not like he can take this elsewhere. But I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Simmons and Dr. Creo, because they're really the ones that have been doing this work with Mr. Casillas.
Yes. Good evening. And I highly recommend that you make this authorization. Mr. Casillas has done tremendous work with his students and was able to shift from them seeing him for one period a day to pretty much almost all day very successfully. There's a very strong culture in the class. He does a small group instructional approach and is meeting the students at their grade levels, you know, in all the different content areas, just as you would in a one-room schoolhouse. He's serving the students' needs really well.
Good evening. I also recommend Mr. Casillas. So just to give you a few anecdotals, I've had a few IEP meetings over the past 30 days where Mr. Casillas has surprisingly been the English teacher and the math teacher. So this is different for my parents. When they received their 30-day meeting, it was another teacher. So having to explain ourselves over and over again has been interesting, but it has also been a relief, and it makes my recommendation even stronger. So my parents with an IEP have said, they said, who is the one who took over the class? What's going on with math? Who is leading the curriculum now? And immediately I am prepared for an attack from the parents. You know, there's a big changes that happen. And over again, my parents have said, my students are saying that they get math, they get it better than the previous teacher. And it's no knock on the previous teacher who was just as great, but because Mr. Casillas is taking the time and really going through the curriculum, and the curriculum that we currently have, the iReady curriculum, it is semi-scripted, and then all you need is to put a little bit of your pizzazz in there and your personality. But if you follow the script, which is the recommendation of the program that we're using, they can do okay. And now he's been collaborating more with our elementary school teachers. All of my teachers teach multiple grade levels. Some of them teach 3 grade levels. So he's had the support of his colleagues, letting them know, how do you arrange the room? What is this group doing while this one is doing? So that has also allowed us to focus more on the MyPath individual growth of our students, because those station rotations are really important. That is one of the signature programs that we also sold to our parents when we said we're going to be in combo class, and Mr. Casillas is embracing it. But to receive the compliments from the parents, not a single complaint that I've had over the last 30 days from any parents, especially over the math, which is the one that we were all a little bit more worried about, has really been a relief, and one of the reasons why I strongly recommend Mr. Casillas on behalf of the students who are saying they get math, and on behalf of my parents.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll look for a motion. And then we can go to discussion.
Motion.
Okay,
Second.
okay. We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there questions, discussion? I'll look for,
I have questions.
sure, go ahead.
So we said that the students are getting the math. What does the score say? Like their math scores?
Math scores are not far off from our other schools. So they're definitely on showing the improvements, but they're not significantly high yet. But when I looked at the math scores, I didn't see any alarm that they're not learning. And the other part is because they are doing the rotations successfully, the Lagos students, the middle school students, have actually more time on the MyPath curriculum. And so there's actually more data points to work with, and they're helping each other.
Do we feel that he will be able to help them improve?
100%. Yeah. So, I mean, having been a math teacher, having not taken math courses for many years before stepping into that role, you kind of have to push your game even further. And so I know from doing planning with him that he is spending his weekends relearning the math, and it's making him a stronger teacher and such. So yes, he is in the position to support the students.
I observed him teaching last week, and since Lago is such a small school, all the teachers teach multiple subjects. So he's doing rotations like the other teachers were. So his classroom is very much in line with the other classrooms, which is nice. It just really does create some cohesion for the whole program. But I did observe him teaching math because I knew that was, I think, our biggest question. And he was very effective. We just had professional development, and I saw him implement a lot of the things that we as leaders, the principals, had professional development, learn in that professional development. I know that he's been working with Dr. Simmons because she tells me they plan on a weekly basis. I could see him implementing the things that I know that they're talking about because we're all working on, we're all learning together. His lesson was very effective. The students responded. I did observe, I looked at student work, and there was nothing that was of alarm, and there was nothing that indicated that this was like new to him or he didn't know what he was doing.
And if I could just add one more point, 2 weeks ago, we had walkthroughs with iReady consultants, and we are the only school, because of the nature of being a founding school, we didn't get the opportunity to have the iReady professional development during the summer as all of our other schools did. However, my teachers are resilient. They're pushing through the curriculum. We had our walkthroughs with our consultants 2 weeks ago, and she was impressed. I would actually like to forward you an email that the consultant wrote about us and about our teachers, especially about Mr. Casillas. She couldn't believe that he was a single subject teacher, social studies background. And she was like, I can barely give you all any feedback because knowing that you all have not received any professional development, that you are all just helping each other as best as you can and following the curriculum as it's intended for us to follow it. I'm just beyond impressed by the resilience of the teachers and how well they're executing. And she also said, I don't see any alarms, especially knowing your background. And she actually did mention to us that she goes to a lot of schools and they mention, how can you possibly do multiple grades in one classroom? And she said, and now I have a name of a school to give them and let them know they're doing at Vista Lago in Lake Elsinore. I now have a school for you to go watch.
Okay. And then how do you continue the professional development? Is there ongoing monitoring each month?
Yeah, so we'll continue meeting and planning, and I'll continue to go in and observe. I'm there at least once a week, and so that continues, and then we can have Zoom calls. In addition, we're also looking at the student data. So, and because they're on the system, I have an ability to check it regularly, and then from the data, we can pull in smaller groups. And last week we just talked about peer-to-peer support, because when I was in there, the students were all a little too quiet, and I said, you can introduce more peer-to-peer. And so we'll continue to build that in. And that's not just for math, but that would also be for English and for science as well.
And then is he going to work on getting a credential for math and other subjects?
the idea is that the school is going to grow and that we'll be able to move to a less demanding teaching program because it's tough. I mean, what they're doing at Lago with the 3 grade levels all together, and rotating students through is really difficult. So
Yeah, the plan next year is for him to go back into that single subject social studies position like we were planning all along at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, he seems like a commendable human being and educator, and I think that I didn't know that this existed until I was pre-reading, and appreciate your questions and appreciate the presentations to make sure. And it sounds like this is a temporary year fix for a founding school that's has a great teacher that's doing more than what they were asked, and we're just needed to help approve. And I appreciate the testimony, I guess, that you guys are given for his, and I'm just curious, how much time do you think that you're going to continue to need to spend, in support? Because I know that you have a lot of responsibilities as well.
yeah, I mean, I put this as a high priority.
Yep.
So it's at least a weekly commitment. And I think that he's also incredibly receptive. So my hope is that the investment is not just in the short term for this current year, but is actually a much longer term investment. And the other part too is he's serving as a model for other teachers on the site as well. And so when we had to do another consolidation, the teacher said to me, well, if he could do it, I can do it too. And so it's kind of created a lot of team spirit. And then lastly, the culture of the kids, for the middle school, they're in it. They really feel like they're founders and they're, gun ho. And so they're actively making it work as well.
Yep.
So it's really good.
So I appreciate what you guys shared. I would just highly recommend as a former founding school member, having an educator you could easily have an educator that you hire for a job. That job no longer exists. And they say, hey, I didn't sign up for this. But it sounds like they have built a culture and you have someone in Raymond that is willing to step up and to do it and doing it with a lot of acceptance, but also feedback. I heard he's working on the weekends. I know founding school members, the work doesn't really stop. I just encourage I recommend to the board, that we move forward, and continue to monitor and continue to support. But I also want to make sure that you guys are doing the work sustainably as well, And so, again, just highlighting that for our support.
Great. Thank you.
Questions, other questions, other discussion? Nope, I have no questions. I really do appreciate the amount of effort that everybody's putting in to make this, to make sure this goes well for the students, because that's what's important as the students. And I know I can see everybody on staff is dialed into thinking how important this is for everybody, including hopefully the teacher who needs support and is getting it. So with that, no other questions, no other comments, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, carries 4-0. Thank you. Moving on to 4.2, the consolidated application for Vista Lago Global Academy. Any staff comment?
Yeah, this is simply the next step for Vista Lago to access federal funds. Last month, the board approved Vista Lago's LCAP. That was step 1. This is step 2 to be able to submit the consolidated application. And then step 3 will be next month with the LCAP federal addendum. And then hopefully soon thereafter, Vista Lago will have access to those federal funds.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Geronimo. Okay, any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that passes 4-0. Moving on to 4.3, the approval of the lease agreement for 305 Parkman Avenue.
Motion.
Go ahead, motion.
Second.
Okay. Anything?
Yeah,
I think we
this
all,
is formalizing the lease agreement for that site between the middle school and the home office.
yeah, it's kind of an internal lease. It's required by law.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions?
I do not.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Turn your mic.
Aye.
Okay, thanks. So 4-0, that passes. All right, and that gets us to 5.1 board comments. Any comments? Can I start on the left? Is that okay, Tuan?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to reiterate what I said before, right? Is when we have the data and the metrics, it'd be really good to see how we're helping the kids out. I know we're doing all these great things like events, activities for the kids, but for me, anyways, I want to see some like how they're improving in school. What are we doing to help them out? How do we improve attendance, etc. But I think y'all are doing a great job in the reports. That's a start, right? It's going to tell us the story, and it's just what we do with that story.
Great, thank you. Gentlemen, nothing. Go ahead, I'll go last, go ahead.
I just want to appreciate the school leaders. It was a start to the year. I work in education as well, and I really know that creating these superintendent reports or monthly principal reports is just another thing you have to do. But the formatting, I don't know who adjusted the formatting, but the formatting is really clear, really get a good snapshot at your schools. And last year I had an opportunity when I started on the board to visit a couple schools. It was towards the end of the year, and I want to continue that again. And now that I feel like schools, we're still doing the work, just please be on the lookout for emails, and I want to make sure to honor your guys's schedules, but at the same time, I want to make sure to be on your site, so have more of a feel of what's going on versus getting these reports, which are great, but just an immense amount of gratitude for you guys and for you all for presenting and updating. So thank you.
Great. And my comments are, I will just say, I learned from my educator friends that October is kind of the dial it in and come in every day, and there's 30,000 things to do, and it's the like dog days of get everything you can in before the holidays. And so it's with great gratitude that I know you all have gotten through the October part, and you're on the back end coming closer to the holidays, which might give you I would say would give you a great time to have great and enjoyable holidays with your families. However, I know some of you might be using that time to catch up in some of the ways that you feel you need to catch up. So I would just encourage you to take care of yourselves. But I know this is we're trying to make it as short as possible tonight because I think you guys have got plenty on your plates. But thank you for all you're doing, and I look forward to also being out on the sites, especially in the new year. And please keep inviting the board members to all of the events. The Sunday emails, I think I'm getting almost all of the Sunday emails from the schools. So some of those things are really good for me to understand what's happening at the sites so that I don't have to call and bother people, like Colin, particularly. So thank you. And with that, I think we'll close board comments, and we are going to head to closed session. We might be a little bit. And so we'd love to have you here when we come out and say, close the meeting, but please don't feel like you need to stay on my account. Okay. Thank you. Have a great night if you leave, and we will come out and report out a closed session. Okay, we can call this a standing board meeting too. I'd like to bring us back into open session. It is 8:15. There are no reportable items out of closed session. So we will be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. We close at 8:15. We adjourn. Thank you.